The average American saves about 4.5% of their income. Meanwhile, the top 1% follow a completely different formula. And no, it's not complicated. It's not some Wall Street secret locked behind a $10,000 financial advisor. It's three numbers: 15, 65, and 20. That's it. This simple split is how wealthy people organize every single dollar that hits their account before they spend a dime on anything else. And the craziest part? It doesn't matter if you make $40,000 or $400,000. The formula works the same. Most people have never even heard of it. But once you see how the math plays out, you'll wonder why nobody taught you this sooner. Let me show you exactly how. You've probably heard of the 50-30-20 rule. 50% for needs, 30% for wants, 20% for savings. It sounds clean on paper, but here's the problem. It was designed for a world where rent didn't eat half your paycheck and groceries didn't cost what a car payment used to. In 2026, nearly half of all U.S. renters spend over 30% of their income on housing alone. Add food, transportation, insurance, and utilities on top of that, and suddenly that 50% needs cap feels like a fantasy. So most people quietly abandon the budget altogether. They stop tracking, they stop saving, and they fall right back into the paycheck-to-paycheck cycle that traps roughly 1 in 4 American households right now, according to Bank of America's own data. The 15-65-20 rule fixes this by flipping the entire script. Instead of budgeting what's left over for savings, you pay yourself first and build everything else around what remains. That single shift in order changes everything about how your money behaves. Warren Buffett said it plainly: "Do not save what is left after spending. Spend what is left after saving." The 15-65-20 rule turns that quote into an actual system. Here's why this works on a mathematical level. The S&P 500 has returned an average of about 10% per year since 1957. Let's say you earn the U.S. median household income, roughly $83,700 a year. After taxes, you're looking at approximately $5,500 per month. Under the 15-65-20 rule, 15% goes straight to savings and investments before anything else. That's $825 a month. If you invest that $825 monthly into a broad index fund averaging 10% annual returns, in 20 years, you're sitting on roughly $630,000. In 30 years, that crosses $1.8 million. You didn't need a six-figure salary. You didn't need to pick winning stocks. You just needed to move 15% off the table before your brain had a chance to spend it. Now, compare that to the average American saving just 4.5% of their income. That's about $247 a month on the same salary. Over 30 years, at the same 10% return, that gives you roughly $540,000. The difference between 4.5% and 15% over a career is over $1.2 million. Same job, same income, completely different outcome, all because of the order in which the money was handled. And this isn't theory. Investopedia reported in February 2026 that more people are shifting away from the 50-30-20 model toward the 15-65-20 framework, specifically because it reflects real-world costs and forces savings to happen automatically. The old model hoped you'd save. This one guarantees it. It removes willpower from the equation and replaces it with structure. And structure is what separates people who talk about building wealth from people who actually do it. So, here's how you actually set this up, step by step. First, take your after-tax monthly income. Whatever that number is, multiply it by 0.15. That's your savings and investment number. Set up an automatic transfer from your checking account to a separate savings or brokerage account the same day your paycheck hits. Next, multiply your after-tax income by 0.65. That's your ceiling for essentials: rent or mortgage, utilities, groceries, transportation, insurance, and minimum debt payments. If your essentials currently exceed 65%, that's your signal to make adjustments. Maybe it's refinancing, finding a roommate, meal prepping instead of eating out, or switching to a more affordable car. The 65% limit isn't a punishment, it's a pressure test that keeps lifestyle creep from quietly stealing your future. Now, whatever's left, that final 20%, is your guilt-free money. Restaurants, concerts, new clothes, subscriptions, hobbies. You spend it without a shred of guilt because the important money is already handled. Your future self is already funded. That's the psychological power of this system. You never feel deprived because the fun money is built right into the structure. And here's what makes this flexible. As your income grows, every bucket grows with it. A raise doesn't become an excuse to inflate your lifestyle. It becomes fuel for your savings, your stability, and your enjoyment at the same time. If 15% feels like a stretch right now, start at 5%. Then bump it up by 1% every couple of months. The habit of paying yourself first matters more than the starting percentage. The structure trains your brain to see savings not as leftovers, but as your most important bill. Now, here's the part most people skip. They watch a video like this, nod along, maybe even screenshot the formula, and then do absolutely nothing. The gap between knowing and doing is where wealth goes to die. So, before you close this video, open your banking app and set up one automatic transfer. Even if it's $50 into a high-yield savings account, you've done more than 76% of Americans who only saved the same or less last year, according to PIMT's data from early 2026. The 15-65-20 rule isn't magic. It's math with a backbone. It works because it respects the reality that life is expensive, that you deserve to enjoy your money, and that your future still needs to be funded. The wealthy don't budget differently because they have more money. They have more money because they budget differently. They treat savings like a fixed expense. They cap their lifestyle before it caps their freedom, and they give themselves permission to enjoy what's left, fully and without guilt. This is not about being cheap. It's not about cutting every joy out of your life. It's about building a system that grows your wealth in the background while you live your life in the foreground. You don't need more income to start building wealth. You need a better system for the income you already have. The 15-65-20 rule is that system. If this shifted the way you think about money, subscribe to Frankie Finance and hit the notification bell so you don't miss what's coming next. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.